Things have been really busy, getting a lot of calls and a lot of discussions, and we'll see where it turns out.
Go ahead, sir. Were you surprised that Corey Schneider's name was put into the rumor mill early this morning here in New York?
I was a little bit surprised, but sometimes that happens. A team calls you about a player, and then suddenly it gets out. So we just have to live with it and keep moving ahead.
Are you hopeful to make a deal for one of your goaltenders before the weekend's out?
I'm not sure yet. We're going to see how it goes, and obviously we're listening to proposals, and I'm not sure how it's going to turn out, but we're certainly listening.
This is a bit of draft deja vu. Last year we're at the draft talking about Luongo. This year we're talking about Schneider. Is it because his contract is the more movable one that maybe that pushes the conversation in that direction?
I think he's a very good young player, and teams are after good young players all the time, and so I'm not surprised. We get calls all the time about our young players, and he's one of them, and so it's not surprising at all.
But Corey Schneider's not going anywhere.
Well, I don't know. We'll see. We're listening to proposals. You never say never about anything, but we'll have to wait and see what happens.
I thought that's because you were surprised. You were surprised because maybe there was no merit to it.
Well, Ian, you have to listen. I mean, if you're in any business, you have to listen to what the proposals may be and act accordingly, and that's what we're doing.
Would you like to move up in the draft in the first round tomorrow, Mike?
We've talked about that possibility. We've talked to some teams about that possibility, and I think you would always like to move up in the draft, but whether it's doable or not, I'm not sure.
Mike, how much is predicated on what you maybe haven't been able to do on the Roberto front? You talked about talking to some teams when you got here. Has anything moved forward in that respect in the last few days?
Well, I'm always eager to tell you about every move that we're making and every discussion that we have. So I'll continue in that vein and say we're listening to offers, we're talking to teams, and we'll have to wait and see how it turns out.
Is it your sense that it's going to be a busy day of transactions, maybe not just for your team, but for a lot on the draft floor?
I'm not sure. It goes in ebbs and flows. It all depends. I mean, when there's good players being talked about, there's the potential for lots of movement.
Mike, this is such a deep draft, especially in the first 3 rounds. If a team was to offer you its first-round pick plus a prospect for Corey, how seriously would you have to look at something like that?
It all depends on the team and the pick.
With the draft itself, I know you've said in the past, Mike, that you look at the best possible player. You have drafted a lot of centers and defensemen, but there seems to be maybe a need on the left side. Are you looking at a positional move perhaps at 24?
Ben, I don't know yet. But you don't know who's available at 24 until you get into it. You have your list, and you're asking me questions that I can't answer. So you have to wait and see what's available at that pick.
He wasn't named to the head coaching role today, but do you expect John Tortorella to be on the Americans coaching staff for the Olympics next year?
I would imagine so, yeah. He was on the staff last time, and, we hired him because we think he's a great coach, so I would expect that to be the case.